It's Nolan. Now, before we get started, make sure y'all hitting that like button. Make sure y'all sharing it on your respective platforms. Let somebody know what we're doing today. Now, let's get into the show. I prayed for better days until I finally got them. It's hard to think about tax when you want a flight to Cabo. Checking my bank and got figures I never seen. Couple years ago, I couldn't spare chain and gear to a fiend. This shit a dream. Became the golden child, but dog, it's still a fight. They don't see the sacrifice. This industry come with some gripes. They just know the flash of lights, but I've been up for several nights. I help so many niggas, they just want me in the room to write. Rappers trying to pick my brain. Women trying to touch my chain. I just bought my girl a ring, but y'all need me to entertain. How the fuck can I explain when everybody chasing fame? Niggas down to die for this spot I got, so I can't complain. When my parents need help, I'm hitting they cells. Doing Zoom calls to help artists fend for they sales. They hear my shit on the tube, my songs play on the news. Them royalty checks coming, that's generational wealth, nigga.
But I know it's gonna get paid in me. For sure. I don't have everything that I want, but if there's one thing that I know, it's gonna get better than me. For sure.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's the kid J Nolan here. Welcome back to another episode of Inside the Industry, your number one source for music, entertainment, commentary, and breakdowns. Hope everybody's doing well on this Monday afternoon. That song y'all just heard is called Beautiful Struggle from my Southside Nolan album. Big shout out to Jay Franklin on the vocals on the hook. Big shout out to my homeboy Black Metaphor. For those of y'all that don't know Black Metaphor, super dope producer in the industry. He's done records with Ross, Game, Ali Boumaier, Jeezy, you name it, Black Metaphor don't fuck with him. And we go way back on some Southside shit, so we work together on that song. Today we're gonna be getting into Lupe Fiasco. Okay, I saw a couple of y'all been asking if I was gonna talk about this whole situation with him and the AI. I wasn't all that intrigued by him working with AI to begin with, because it's something that he's been interested in for a while. My channel, I used to talk about the different advancements that were happening in the AI world. At a certain point, it seemed that my viewers checked out of that conversation, so I haven't really been tapped in with all that stuff, because at the end of the day, I think the big thing with AI, when I was like really into the conversation, it was about consent. It was about people's image, likeness, voice, all of those different things being utilized against the artist's consent, being utilized against the people that actually own the music's consent. So that was like a huge conversation. That's still something that's important to me as it pertains to ownership, as it pertains to IP, as it pertains to that side of it. It's all based on autonomy and leveraging your own IP. And if you choose to use your IP or your image or likeness, and you want to partner up with AI, I don't have a problem with that, right? To be honest. But the big conversation, again, when I was taking part, was that it was happening against the will of the artist, right? And the artists were coming out and labels were coming out and saying, that was not authorized. You cannot train against our model because we did not give you consent to do so. I'm not cool with anything violating people's consent. However, I see that there's a conversation happening on whether or not this is ethical, that Lupe is working with MIT and working with machine learning and all of this different type of stuff. So we're gonna talk about it, right? There's a creator out there by the name of Absa Effin Lutely, who I guess when she caught wind of what he's working on, she is vehemently against it. She made a video calling basically calling him a Judas to the culture, calling him a Judas of hip hop, and basically saying that he's selling out the culture in so many words, right? Lupe then caught wind of this video and he issued a response via IG Live. I want to give a big shout out to my dog Curtis King, because he's the one who captured that IG live and did a stream of his own talking about this whole thing. So I am going to be using Curtis King's video to actually show y'all what happened, because nobody else has that online. So big shout out to him. And he kind of did a stream supporting Lupe's talking points and his rebuttals and responses. And in the midst of him actually coming out and, kind of defending what Lupe's working on, Lupe then jumps in his chat and kind of chastises him and shits on him. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, I don't have a relationship with Lupe of any sort, but I do have a fan to artist relationship with Lupe that has been very up and down throughout the duration of my life and his career, right? I've told y'all numerous times on this channel, Lupe is one of the biggest influences to me musically. I caught wind of his music at a time when I was trying to find an identity, trying to find how I wanted to approach music. It was during a time where I was ingesting a lot of different forms of hip hop and kind of interpreting those things through my own artistry and kind of channeling styles, right? And when I got hit to Kanye, at the time when Kanye dropped and he had College Dropout, Through the Wire, Jesus Walks, all that, like that was like a transformative time for me. And his connection with like Talib Kweli, Mos Def, I was already up on them, but his connection with them as he was the bigger artist at the time, it kind of created that Backpack 2.0 movement. He was connected with Tribe. He was connected with all these people. And then just about a year and a half later, after he hits the scene, we get Lupe's entry on Touch the Sky. When I heard Lupe on Touch the Sky, I was like, that nigga's fire, right? And so at that moment, I became a fan. I was locked in. I went and found all of those FNF mixtapes, Fahrenheit 115, and Food and Liquor was like in production. Summer of, I want to say, right before I left school, it was like 06. I got a bootleg of the Food and Liquor. It had like 8 songs on it, right? And this was a big deal because this really halted Lupe's career. It supported and halted it at the same time, right? And I think this is very important to document because Lupe and the things that he's done personally, but then also the things that he's endured in his career shape his worldview, shape his perspective of the industry, which I also think shapes his reasoning for going out and expanding into other things and expanding into other horizons and utilizing his skill set as a rapper, utilizing his knowledge, his experience as a rapper to branch out into technology. If you've listened to any of Lupe's music, if you've paid attention to any of the imagery that he's portrayed throughout his career, if you look at the image on his first album cover of him being in space with all of these different elements, albums, microphone, notebook, shoes, skateboard, all of these different things. If you listen to Daydreaming, if you watch the music video with the robot in his music video, I don't think anybody should be surprised that Lupe would be doing a collaboration with AI, machine learning, robotics, or anything of the like, because he was on that wave from the first time we saw him, right? So I want to contextualize all of these different things. I'm not here to ridicule anybody or their perspective. I'm only here to offer mine within the context of all of these different conversations and talking points that have been happening under my nose over these past few days, right? So I became a fan, loved Lupe as an artist, or at least I loved Lupe as an artist, you know what I'm saying, over the years. And I still put Food and Liquor up there as one of the classic albums of hip hop, one of the best hip hop albums ever created. The Cool, I know some people that like The Cool more than Food and Liquor. I was not one of those people, but I think the artistic expansion that he did on The Cool and the intentionality and the fact that it actually the storyline of the album, or at least the theme of the album, was something that predated even Food and Liquor. You know, this idea of the cool, the game, the streets, and all of this different shit. That was stuff he was talking about on his mixtapes, and then he expanded on the idea. So he's a very intentional artist. Always liked that about him. You know, but unfortunately, the level of artistry that he put into his music didn't really translate into massive record sales. Therefore, his relationship with his record label was tumultuous, to where at one point they halted him from releasing music. By the time he got to his third album, they didn't want to provide a budget. They wanted him to sign a 360 deal. He was in opposition to that. They tried to withhold his third studio album. They had to do a protest just to get it out. So that all of these things taken into context should help shape Lupe and who he is as an artist. You know, in recent memory, he's been a little bit disrespectful to Kendrick Lamar, and I know there's a lot of Kendrick Lamar fans that take exception to that. They don't like that. They don't like the things that he said, where he's basically positioned himself as a Kendrick before Kendrick. He's not lying when he says that. As somebody who shook up the industry when everybody was on the tough guy image, when everybody was trying to come out and convince you of how many niggas they killed, Lupe came out and gave us a different side of hip hop, gave us a more expansive version of hip hop, gave us something that was a little bit interesting. It took a little bit more thought. It took a little bit more time to digest what he was saying. Same thing with Kendrick Lamar with Good Kid, Mad City. That was another time when the trap rap was starting to emerge, and that was becoming the more prevalent style coming out of the dance and snap era and all of those different things. Kendrick Lamar stepped in with Good Kid, Mad City, and his album was revered in the same way that Food and Liquor was, except it was even bigger. It was even more accepted. It was, it was welcomed. I think it was a time where people were actually ready for that style of music and that thought process and that conscious and ratchet duality, right? Now, I think he definitely looks at Kendrick as he's accomplished what I could have or should have, and I mean that's his personal thing. If that's how he feels, I have nothing to do with that shit. You know, I don't sleep in his position at night, not in his bed. I don't live with the nigga. He feels he could go toe to toe with him lyrically if they were ever to engage in lyrical battle. I'm not against him feeling that way. As an MC, you're supposed to feel like you're the best. You're supposed to feel like you the shit. But I do disagree with the way that he's come across as a hater. I do disagree with the way that he's positioned himself as far as that conversation is concerned. And that's pretty much that. However, that's not the primary conversation here. I'm just giving y'all a little bit of context as it relates to J Nolan, because again, I told y'all when it was brought to my attention, I didn't really give a fuck, right? So all of those things taken into consideration, we know that Lupe feels a bit dejected and rejected by the music industry at large. The fan base that he had from 2006 is not the same fan base necessarily that he has in 2025. I think a lot of people have jumped off the wagon of being Lupe Fiasco fans, and you have to be a very dedicated Lupe Fiasco fan in order to continue being one, because he is a very complex person, very misunderstood person, very highly opinionated person, and sometimes those opinions don't align with the politics or the thoughts or the views of even his own fan base. So there's a lot to unpack there, right? So let's get to this whole AI thing, right? So January 1st, Lupe comes out and he makes an announcement of things he has coming up for 2025. He says, the first thing is Ramen Shop, okay? Now, this seems unproblematic for the most part. I don't see anybody that has an issue with Ramen Shop. Okay. Now, Ramen Shop he says, is my multimodal, multimedia, creative musical sandbox. Ryman Shop's DCS, or Data Compression Services program, is small batch, physical musical releases or flavors available only to holders of Ryman Shop DCS USB cards or bowls. Now, this is interesting because I had a concept for a project, actually a series of projects called Flavors. I never materialized on that idea, but me and my guy DJ Red Handed, when we first started coming up with the project that ultimately ended up becoming Price of Admission, which is available now on all platforms. The first iteration of that, when I started making it, I wanted to call it Flavors, and each release was going to be like a different flavor. I never actually followed through with that. So then I started doing Flavors Freestyles. Anybody that followed me on Instagram over the past 5-6 years, you'll see that I do those all the time. Nonetheless, his flavors are basically physical musical releases, which will be collected via USB card. Right? New ramen flavors go into the bowls. The first set of Ramen Shop DCS V1 bowls were released during the Samurai Tour. If you were lucky enough to receive one, I highly suggest you hang on to it, as it will be the only way to get the upcoming flavors. And trust me, I got a lot more flavors for you to savor, neighbors. Don't worry though, if you didn't get a bowl, new batches of cards will be made available, so don't trip. More details about Ramen Shop DCS to come, but for now, make sure to follow Ramen Shop and stay tuned. So basically, for those people that actually go to Lupe Fiasco shows, because he's remained a touring act throughout his entire career. At one point, when he could not release music via Atlantic Records, boycott. They didn't want to accept the music. He still continued to tour. That's always been the bread and butter of Lupe's career. Even if everybody were to shit on him and leave him today, he would still have a touring audience. Okay? And basically, new music releases that won't go on streaming platforms, won't be officially sold on his website. It's just him creating freestyles and different entries that he wants his fans, his dedicated fans, to be able to have access to. You'll basically be able to reload and get the new batches at his shows. I don't see anything wrong with that. That's actually a pretty dope thing, pretty dope way of creating physical media for your fans. That's how you're supposed to engage with your fans. I did a version of that without knowing in my Patreon. For those of y'all that have joined in Patreon, I gave y'all a gift around Thanksgiving with a project called Loose Files 2. The original Loose Files I did was in 2011, which was a mixtape that I made of songs that I was trying to learn how to record and engineer myself. And I didn't want to release it as an official album because I didn't feel like it was up to the standard of an album. So then I released it via Bandcamp, and those that wanted it could go get it. Loose Files 2 is a collection of about close to 70 records. It's freestyles. It's music that I've made for companies. It's music that I've made for television and film, and others that's just like unreleased material that I've made with my homeboys that never saw the light of day. I gave that to y'all as a gift in the Patreon. So for anybody that either has not joined or has joined and is not aware of what that Loose Files 2 post is, it's a playlist of close to 70 records that you can listen to, enjoy. You don't have to download no extra app or nothing. All you got to do is click on a link. It'll take you there, and you can play it anytime you want, right? So you're supposed to have things like that for the artists out there. You got to be innovative. You got to find new ways, and you got to find ways to like even give liberation to the projects and the things that you may feel are not commercially viable, to still give that away to your fans. Great. Now here's the controversial piece. And now Endless Loop. Imagine if there was a 24-hour, fully AI-powered radio station trained on all the intricacies of my rapping abilities and was carefully refined to produce the highest quality possible Lupe Fiasco songs. Now imagine it only played a generated song once and never again endlessly. Now imagine that radio station was only available for certain periods of time and only in certain locations, and you needed an actual FM radio to hear the songs. Imagine I put a team together at MIT, and imagine we actually built it. Endless Loop, or Endless LUP, coming soon. All right, so this is the part where people are taking umbrage with. He's got an AI-powered radio station that's coming soon within the next 6 months. And the entire radio station will be composed of music inspired by Lupe Fiasco, trained by Lupe Fiasco, puts his music into the machine learning programs. And what people will be hearing is the AI version of Lupe, based on Lupe giving them access to do it. So remember, in the beginning of this video, I talked about consent as it pertains to AI, right? I don't have no problem with an artist employing AI when they've given their express consent to do so, right? So that's why, even with, if we go back to Drake versus Kendrick Lamar, and we go back to the song that I wish never happened, Tailor-Made Freestyle. You had Drake, you had AI Tupac, you had AI Snoop, right? And the big conversation around that record was AI Tupac, because the Tupac estate came out and said, nigga, take that shit down. We don't support that. You did not reach out to us. We did not give you clearance to utilize Tupac's voice, and we damn sure would not have given you consent to use Tupac's voice as it pertains to a diss record towards Kendrick Lamar, because we have a relationship with him anyway, right? So nah, you're not finna create division. You're not finna create confusion within our relationship with him, because of course, if we allow you to do that, then that could be a problem. And we're not finna do that. But nowhere along the lines did we ever hear an issue from Snoop, right? And the reason why is because Snoop claims that he gave his consent to an AI company. You know, Snoop is very big in the metaverse. He was an early adopter with the whole NFT thing. He made millions of dollars within this NFT movement as he obtained the rights to the Death Row catalog and all that different stuff. He took that catalog and inserted it into the metaverse, offered it as NFTs, to find new value in a new market that was separate from, say, the legacy listeners that used to just listen to that catalog of music that people mostly forgot about, right? And then at a certain point, the music was to be re-released on streaming platforms based on the discretion of his company, as he now owns Death Row, right? So Drake faced no resistance from Snoop because he was behind the scenes, as in Snoop was already working in the AI field. He had already given his voice to the AI model. He had already signed off on it. So even then, it wasn't a problem. It's not like Snoop had a direct conversation with Drake. It's just the fact that Snoop's voice was already a model on a platform that Drake ended up utilizing, and it wasn't a problem, right? So that's where Kendrick and Snoop have their thing, right? That's what Snoop claims. I don't really think Kendrick cares about Snoop allowing his voice to be used for AI. If I can remember, it's the fact that Snoop supported the Drake record in the midst of the battle. It wasn't about the AI at all. It was about the fact that you co-signed it, right? Just contextualizing all of this stuff, because again, it comes down to consent, which Snoop had already pre-given consent prior to Drake's usage, right? So now Lupe comes up with this thing, and it's not out yet. It's coming within the next 6 months, this Endless Loop. He says it will only be available for certain periods of time and only in certain locations, and you need an FM radio to actually hear the songs, which means that this is not made for mass consumption. This is not something that was made for the entire industry to, go crazy about. This is not something that was made to make him buku money. This is really just a side quest that he decided to undertake with his partners over at MIT, as he is a professor of rap music at MIT, and that's his business, right? So then we get this creator, Abso-effing-lutely, who comes out and says that Lupe Fiasco is Judas, he's betraying the culture, all of these different things, right? So this is an 11-minute video that was released. I guess we should go ahead and play it just for context. I didn't want to play it because Lupe kind of responds to the video, and that's like a 20-minute thing. But if y'all down for the long haul, we'll just fucking go through it. I ain't gonna go through the whole thing. Basically, in a nutshell, she doesn't agree with the fact that he's working with MIT to begin with. And she uses MIT's basically their involvement with weapons, with their AI programs of learning facial recognition and things of that nature that are perhaps used by the military, perhaps used by police, and all these different things, which are valid points. If you feel like AI is being used for the destruction of black people, that's your stance. You don't have to support it. None of us have to support it. None of us have to support Lupe at all. I don't know if Lupe went into it with that mindset that, oh, because they did this, I shouldn't work with them. I think he already has a relationship with MIT, as he's been working with them for about 6 years. He's a professor up there, and as a professor for 2 years, they decided to work on something, right? But again, for her and for anyone else that is not a fan of AI and doesn't think that that's okay or doesn't think that that's cool, he's not begging you to support it, right? So that's the thing. An artist can present what they want, but it does not mean that you have to support it. So that's another reason why me, J Nolan, I didn't give a fuck, because I don't listen to AI music. I'm not intrigued by AI music. Therefore, when he releases it, I may say, oh, that's a cool project based on the fact that he wanted to do it. He gave his consent and he went and created it. That doesn't mean I'm going to listen to the shit, because I really don't give two fucks about Lupe creating AI music. Some people hit me up back when Lupe did that other AI project where he was with Google and they had like this AI rap generator. And I won't call it a rap generator, because really it's a word generator, in which he tells they scanned him, and he basically tells the AI that he wanted to make a song about a specific range of topics. Then the AI they give him a prompt. The prompt then gives him a bunch of words that he then, or phrases that he then turned into a rap. I didn't think nothing about that neither, because the rhyming thesaurus has been around forever. People were using ChatGPT and different shit like that to get word and rhymes and stuff like that for a bit. So I'm not really like, things that don't intrigue me, things that don't really apply to me, I don't give a fuck about. You know what I'm saying? But folks hit me up thinking that it was so dope, and I'm like, I really think this thing came up with worse raps than what he would come up with on his own. But if y'all like it, salute. You know what I'm saying? I didn't care about it. I watched the whole video and I was like, this don't rap. This rap that he's trying to fit inside this box of what the AI is feeding him really sounds like it's limiting his rap compared to if he just sat down for 30 minutes and came up with the rap. But I don't give a fuck. Now, for those that give a fuck, that's on you. It's your choice to care. So that's one of her talking points, was that he shouldn't have got with MIT. But MIT is a coveted institution that a lot of people are trying to get into anyway. So either way you look at it or slice it, there's going to be people that agree. There's going to be people that disagree. Right? Another one of her talking points was about how he romanticizes the AI and, feeding his rapping capabilities to it to create perfect art and all of these different things like that. And I don't feel like that's what we're dealing with here. I don't think it's about trying to create perfect art. It's just a side project. But my whole objective here is not to like pick apart her video or anything like that, or pick apart her talking points, because I feel like she's well within her rights to feel how she feels about Lupe. She's well within her rights to feel how she feels about AI and its usage. And everybody is well within their rights to feel how they feel about it. Again, my issue with AI is if you come and make an AI model based on me, J Nolan, or anybody I love and or care about, and we didn't consent to it. Because I told y'all before, I've considered creating an AI model for my channel. For days when I don't want to come on camera, I have a fucking damn near animated, but not animated, but like real life, like look like me, bounce like me, move like me type shit, to where I don't got to be on camera because I'm trying to spend time with my family. I give it a fucking script, and that motherfucker gonna come on here and talk to y'all for 20 minutes based on what I told it to say. You know, but even with that, that's an expensive undertaking that I'm not willing to pay for. But I've considered it, you know what I'm saying? With to create a more efficient way of running my channel and my business, because every moment that I come here and talk to y'all, honestly, and I do it 2 to 3 times a day, sometimes 4 if I really carve out the time. The time I'm spending with y'all is the time I could be spending with my family. I could be, you know what I'm saying? I have a 1-year-old child that I could be helping with his developmental skills and stuff like that I could be spending that time doing. But I'm going to do that anyway. But I'm just telling y'all like the reality of the situation. So I'm just not tripping off of this stuff. You know what I mean? Unless it's being used against somebody's will. At one point, she says that, you know, Lupe is known for aligning with white power structures and things like that. Of course, MIT being the white power structure at hand. But even with that, everything we do, unless y'all know differently, you know, perhaps you work for a black owned business, perhaps you are a black owned business. But for those of us that aren't, everything that we do inherently enhances white power structure. Me being on YouTube, as much as it benefits me and as much as it may entertain y'all, I do not own this, right? The owners of Google, the owners of YouTube, they don't look like us, right? And they're the ones that have access to all of our data. They have access to all of our analytics. They have access to all of y'all's profiles, what you look like, what you are into, which is why they're able to feed you algorithmic suggestions of what you would be interested in watching. Like, we're all a part of a system that we're probably not going to be able to dismantle because it's so much bigger than us. So for him to go work with MIT and create this AI radio station that, to be honest, nobody's going to give a fuck about when it drops, I'm not up in arms about it. You know what I'm saying? I've also told y'all about some of these AI companies out here that will utilize independent artists such as myself, right? They understand that we want more opportunities. We want to make money off of our art. Therefore, they'll come to the table and say, hey, come record songs to feed to our AI model, right? And we're going to generate songs based off of, you know, we've got 5,000 artists that are making all sorts of genres of music. We're going to run it through the machine and we'll be able to produce AI, R&B, hip hop, jazz, country, blase, blah, 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 deep house, all this shit, right? I've taken my own liberty to not participate in none of those things. I'm very aware of them, right? And I understood what they're going to pay me to create these songs is never going to amount to anything close to what they're going to make off of it, right? That's me being J Nolan, an unfamous, never had a hit record. You know what I'm saying? All of those things working against me. They're going to pay niggas pennies on the dollar compared to what they're going to use it for. Now, for somebody like a Lupe who's able to be a proprietor in this thing that he's creating with MIT, that's a different position, right? And again, that's his decision to make. Now, if they were to go out and create an AI radio station called Endless Loop that was replicating his voice, his vocal inflections, his rhyme patterns, his thought process, all of these different things, and they did it under his nose and they released it and he had nothing to do with it, yes, I would speak out against that because again, what is the subject matter that I've been speaking on this whole time? Consent. But I don't feel like he's doing anything nefarious. Now, some people might say, well, maybe he's unknowingly contributing to something that is going to be a bigger issue in the future. I think that's a fair thought. I think that's a fair assessment coming from somebody that feels that way. But I cannot tell that man what to do with his image, likeness, and or voice. The same way we can't tell these college basketball players and high school basketball players and athletes what to do with their name, image, and likeness as they're getting contracts to where they could get paid. Some of these motherfuckers are getting paid more than us as we spectate on their performance on the court. You know what I'm saying? Some of these players are coming out of high school, more so college, but shit, the Bronny Jameses of the world are coming out of high school already millionaires based off of NIL deals because they're deciding how they want to use their name, image, and likeness. What I feel you should do with your person has nothing to do with me. I can give my opinion on it all day, but it ain't going to change your decision. It ain't going to make you, you know what I'm saying? Just like how people try to shame sex workers. Same thing people try to shame the OF girls for selling pictures of ass and feet. You know what I'm saying? You're hypersexualizing yourself for $1. You're selling yourself short. Well, they done sold, some of these women have sold themselves short into fucking $30 million. I ain't got 30 M's to tell them what the fuck to do. You know what I'm saying? Now we could talk about moral judgment and my thoughts on the situation, but what is that going to do for them or change them? That's their autonomy. So I just feel like it doesn't really, it's not as deep, and it is deep, but it's not as deep as we would like to make it, right? Like, I'll use an example. Timbaland came out about a year and some change, maybe 2 years ago at this point. That nigga came and was like, yeah, man, I done reached the frontier of technology. And he was like, man, what if I could make a song today with Biggie? Right? And he put that fucking song, he didn't put it out, but he played it on in a video. And I said, man, that shit whack as fuck. That don't even sound like Biggie. That shit sound like Gorilla Black. That shit sound like some bullshit. I literally have a video still living here on YouTube talking about it, right? But Timbaland can't speak for Biggie to say he wanted to work with him on that song. So yeah, that side of the AI conversation, I'm always going to advocate for the person being used, being able to speak up for themselves. Right? But then on the flip side of it, I believe that Biggie's mother, Miss Valletta Wallace, I believe she went into partnership with some metaverse companies and some different shit in which they were going to go on and put on, you know, shit. They did the Biggie holograph years ago. They did the same thing with the hologram. They did the same with Tupac. I don't know how the Tupac estate feels about shit like that today, but I remember that shit happened. But I think more recently during the pandemic, his mom, Biggie's mom, went and did some sort of deal with a metaverse company that was going to put on AI exhibitions of Biggie and I guess recall, moments of his life and career and shit like that. So I don't know all of the bylaws. I don't know all of the things that she may have signed off on that would have allowed somebody like a Timbaland to create that song with Biggie's voice. As much as I said that shit was whack, didn't sound like sound like some bullshit. I don't know if Biggie's mama said shit, I'm gonna sign off on this because as y'all use this and have fun with my child's voice, I'm gonna collect on the coins that he never got to get in the living. You know what I'm saying? Off of his image, likeness, talent, voice, etc. You think I'm finna argue with that man's mama? No. I could just only hope that she's working with his best interests at heart rather than just trying to think of this from a purely exploitative place. But that ain't for me to determine necessarily. So I think all of this stuff is very complex. I know some people are going to disagree with me. I know some people are going to say, man, I don't fuck with nothing AI. Absolutely. That's the whole thing. If you don't want to consume anything AI, the best thing you can do is not consume the AI so that you don't end up a statistic in the research. Right? That's all you can do. If you want to speak against AI, you can also do that. But there's going to be a certain number of people, I don't know what that sample size is going to be, that is going to check it out. Now, as it pertains to taking people's actual jobs, stuff like that, I think we should be a little bit more concerned. But I don't think AI is finna come take my job. I don't think AI is finna come take, make people any less interested in my raps. If I'm to be all the way honest, there's only a certain amount of people in the world that was worried about my raps before AI came into the fucking conversation. We're gonna be honest about it, right? Yeah, I got songs in like hundreds of TV shows, movies. I've done all type of cool shit. I've made pretty decent money as an independent, never been signed to a major label rapper. But being self-aware of the situation, the AI competition ain't gonna change y'all's mind on whether or not I'm dope. So the process is the same. You're gonna have to get up. You're gonna have to go create. You're gonna have to innovate. You're gonna have to show people you have a unique talent, a unique perspective. That's what people have always looked for. That's where the stars came from in the 30s. That's where stars came from in the 50s, the 70s, the 90s. That's how we have a Kendrick Lamar. And if you're interested in that thing, that unique human talent, then I don't see why y'all are concerned with what Lupe's doing. I'm just being honest. Now, if and or when we get to the point where, because they are developing AI that's like replicating to the point of like, this deep fake shit that you can't, it's like, I just saw that shit of Will Smith eating them noodles, right? There was old versions of Will Smith eating the noodles and his face was all falling apart and shit like that. And niggas were like, man, what the fuck? I just saw a new version of it where AI was eating the motherfuckers and that shit looked real smooth. Stuff like that, I'm concerned about, right? Because then I don't recall Will Smith giving nobody the permission to create this shit left or right? Whether it was going to be the ugly ass nigga over to the left or if it was going to be the more technologically advanced, damn near look just like him version on the right. I don't recall when Will Smith said, I give y'all the right to produce none of this shit, right? And then you can start creating issues with forcing animated AI produced versions of people to do shit, and then it gets confused as reality, right? We've had that talk about, the AI Megan Thee Stallion deepfake video that she's suing Milagro about spreading, right? Again, that's where we talk about consent, right? Because she never signed off to say, I'm cool with y'all doing that. And y'all are spreading it against my will. I don't like it. I'm not supportive of it, but y'all are putting it out there. And y'all are depicting me in a compromising position that some people would believe and others are using just to, tarnish my name, even though they know it's not real. That is a totally different conversation. And again, I'm always going to advocate for the humans that are not for it and is being used against their actual consent. Right? So that's pretty much where I stand. Now, Lupe also in his live, and I was actually gonna use all these clips, but as I'm talking and shooting off the hip, I've already been here for 46 minutes, so I'm not gonna use none of the stuff. Which is crazy because that took a fucking hour out of my life chopping down, but it's better to just talk to y'all. He talked about, okay, so if y'all want to talk about enhancing or empowering white institutions, he said, what do you mean? Like Def Jam, Atlantic, Universal, Interscope, all of these are white-led institutions, right? And we keep signing record deals to these companies. We keep getting exploited. We keep putting our music on Spotify and all these different platforms. We know the CEO of Spotify doesn't give a fuck about a single artist on this planet, right? That motherfucker came out years ago and has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on his stance and said, if you feel like you're not making enough money off Spotify, then you just need to release more music. That is his stance. That is how he thinks of us. But how many artists have removed their music and felt like it actually did something for them, right? How many consumers, and it ain't just Spotify, but he's the one that said it, because these other motherfuckers feel the same goddamn way. But how many consumers have left the streaming landscape to say, I am going to support the artist by buying their album, right? And I'm not saying that y'all don't, because I know insiders in here that buy music. Y'all have shown me you buy music because some of y'all have bought my music, right? But as a general consensus, how many people have left the streaming landscape and said, I will not contribute to that because I don't support it and I don't support how they do artists, right? So there's a whole entire set of ecosystems that are basically doing the same shit that AI is doing. Not to mention the fact, if we want to just keep it to the music industry passed the motherfucking keys to the tech companies for this shit to happen. When Universal came out and said, what was that whole shit, that ghostwriter nigga that sounded like Drake and was using Drake's voice? They sued his ass, or tried to sue, or something came. They came and put pressure on him, because I don't think they sued him, actually. They came and put pressure on this dude, said, we don't like that shit. And then the first thing they do is go create partnerships with AI companies of their own. So now the artists that are signed to Interscope, signed to Universal, signed to Atlantic, all the record companies have partnerships with AI companies. If y'all was, you know what I'm saying, 2022, when I really got into making content before we got here, I was talking about all that shit getting 200 views. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, these niggas are selling y'all out, right? Because if you're signed to a label, you don't even have the right to say, I protest. Let's talk about that element of it. When Universal goes off and creates a partnership with an AI company and they start doing AI models of your ass, and you can't even get a meeting with Lucian Grainge to say, hey, bro, I know y'all signed that contract, but I ain't with that shit. We need provisions made in my contract that keeps me safe from that. Lucian Grainge gonna say, get the fuck out my office, if you ever get to his office. Let's talk about that side of it, because all of that still is formed around what word? Consent. So I don't care if an isolated art, there's artists out here, there's artists I personally know that when all of this NFT shit went crazy, you know, the next thing that became a thing was, hey, for all you artists out there, right? Go create an AI voice model for yourself, not for some other company, right? But you would still have to go through a specific company in order to do it, right? Go create an AI voice model for yourself. That way, let's say an artist wants to do a feature with you, but you really don't care to do the feature for them. You could say, hey, if you want to do the feature with me, you have to pay me 5 racks. But you could do a feature with my AI model, my AI voice model, you know, for $2,500 or whatever price you set, $500, whatever the fuck it is. And you go through the process of getting the AI model, you train that motherfucker, and now motherfuckers could go out and create features with you not doing no work, and you just came up on bread and shit like that. A lot of people have gone out and done that. Some people feel like they changed their fucking life doing that shit. I didn't do it. I wasn't intrigued. I'm not keen to utilizing my voice in that way and trying to create an AI model for me as a lyricist, as an artist. So I didn't do it. But there's people out there that have done it, that have been doing it, and there will be more that will do it in the future. And if you don't agree with it, you don't have to interact with it. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to even know it exists. I think some of the stuff I'm telling y'all about, you may not have even known about, right? So then now that you're aware, it's in your psyche. So that's why I walk this fine line with this whole Lupe Fiasco situation, because really and truly, as much as I loved Lupe Fiasco in 2006, 2008, 2010, if it's not a new album, I really don't give a fuck what Lupe got going on, to be honest with you. I don't look to him for political stances. I don't look to him for education. I might watch an interview of him to talk about his experience in the industry, because I do think that he has valuable information as it pertains to his experience in the industry as an artist that went through several hardships. He went through a lot of the stuff that the current group of artists today are probably gonna be facing in the coming months, years, and decades to come. So yeah, I'll pay attention to him from that standpoint. But if that nigga got down do an interview with an AI version of himself with Ebro in the future, I'm probably not gonna tune into that motherfucker. That nigga say, hey, I'm finna put out an AI album of Lupe Fiasco material. I'm not finna jack that shit. I'm not finna go listen to it. So that's pretty much my stance. But what I did find funny is that in the midst of Curtis King coming out and defending Lupe, that nigga Lupe jumped in his chat and started shitting on him. Now that part of the video I am gonna share, cause I'm like, damn, nigga been out here co-signing your words for like an hour and some change, and then you shat on him. Damn, that's crazy. And I think the reason why Lupe was defensive is because Curtis was bringing up a past conversation that they had in his live stream, and he was like, you know, I wish the same energy that you gave to creating this video to address all of the questions that Absa Effin Lutely had I wish you would have given me that version of yourself during our conversation, because they had a debate about, you know, some things, music, hip hop, DIY release tactics and stuff like that. And Lupe kind of overtalked him, you know, as it pertained to like the Kendrick Lamar conversation. Lupe overtalked him. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, I wish I would have had the luxury of sitting with a reserved Lupe rather than the turned up version that I got when I spoke to you. And that kind of, I think that rubbed Lupe the wrong way. And then he kind of disparaged him via the chat. So we'll pull that part of the video.
I think there's some things that you said that were condescending. I think one of those was when you made the conversation about whether or not you were a better rapper than me. And I still stand by it. No, you were one of the best to ever do it. You said that's why you can't do the things that I can do. Sir, you as well cannot do the things that I am doing. I am good. You cannot do the things that I can do as a DIYer. I stamp that 1,000%. The many responsibilities that I take on today on a regular basis, this is what I do. So that shouldn't invalidate anything. That shouldn't validate. That's just me standing on my peg. As you as a man, I stand on my peg. So the respect is there. The respect was given all throughout this conversation. There's no clickbait in here at all. But as a DIYer, you cannot do what I do, sir. I do this. The video editing, the production, the color correction, I do this. But I don't need to say that. Yes, I can. Lupe, you're not producing like me. Stop it. And it's not even about that, Lupe. My AI can. Oh, here we go. This nigga. I knew that was gonna come up. Yo, AI can.
Tonight, we dive into the groundbreaking advancements in artificial intelligence.
I am not afraid of your A&I. Let them play. They can never fake another eye. I'm the rev.
Produced by one of your collaborators in Kalen Ellis. One more time.
That shit was funny. That shit right there was funny as fuck. Because let's be clear. People don't know what goes into this. Some people do know. I think Lupe has an inkling of what goes into this YouTube shit. A lot of people be like, man, y'all niggas just sitting up here running your fucking mouth. And a lot of people do just run their fucking mouth. I'm running my mouth right now. But there still is some technical shit that goes into producing this shit, especially when we're talking about quality, you know, as it pertains to like quality sound, the visual, the lighting, you know what I'm saying? The fucking, you know, weaving in and out of this shit. Like, it's easy, but everybody having the same tools in front of them, they're not going to come out with the same product just because you have the same tools, right? Just because everybody could get a mixer, get a laptop, get some lighting, get a camera, that don't mean your shit gonna come out being the same shit that somebody else produces, right? So Curtis King is standing up on his shit. He's like, all right, you say you're a better rapper than me. That's cool. I've given you nothing but credit as one of the best to ever do this shit. I'm not competing with you in terms of being a better rapper, right? Because Curtis King wasn't competing with Lupe at all. As a matter of fact, he was actually saying, based on everything that Lupe said in his video, which we didn't end up playing, I wanted to, but he kind of agreed with Lupe's stances. I don't know who gave Lupe the inkling or the heads up that Curtis King was on stream talking about him, right? Because I think that's what ends up creating the hostility is somebody, and a lot of artists in the industry, I don't know what the fuck is wrong with y'all. But it's like somebody will hit you. I don't know what niggas tell these people in these texts or whatever, like, oh, this nigga on stream talking about you. And it's like, oh, what? That nigga talking about me? Oh, hell no. Let me go crash this nigga party. Let me go shit on this nigga Cheerios. Not like, dog. Nigga ain't say shit negative about you, bruh. So then you want to jump in the chat and you want to disparage this man who was actually co-signing your words. So then he say, all right, well, You can out rap me, but you ain't finna outproduce me in this lane that I'm in right now with this motherfucking stream, with this motherfucking YouTube shit. You're not finna outdo me in this department, partner. Lupe say, my AI can. I don't give a fuck how much AI you get, Lupe. It's not gonna do better than what Curtis King got, man. That nigga got experience with this shit. Nigga been doing this shit very long time, sir. You gonna have to put some very specific prompts in to do what the fuck that nigga doing. I ain't doing what the fuck that nigga doing, to be honest. And I fuck with Curtis King. I'm not, you know, as much as I feel like I've advanced, I ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? I ain't there yet. I'm learning. Me and Curtis, we've spoken, you know, offline. Tremendous respect for him. We've talked about some of the same platforms. We've both released music via Even. You know, we talk about these things, these hip hop subjects on YouTube. You know, got a lot of commonalities between us. But that nigga's way ahead of me. He been on YouTube before I even knew like what you could do with YouTube. You feel me? So ain't no way, boy. You feel me? So, nah, Lupe, you and your AI not finna do that. But I love how he responded. I love how he was ready with that fucking song. Like, shit, nigga, I am not afraid of your AI. Had that shit right on deck. Produced by Kalen Ellis, who produced the whole project for Lupe, to say, nigga, let me stand on my square, nigga. All right, nigga, you wanna get to it? Let's get to it then, nigga. Cause then he could say, shit, I got better songs with Kalen Ellis than you do, nigga. I don't think he want to get on that. Hopefully he don't get on that. But if he wanted to just be flagrant, he could say that, and I might actually co-sign it. I like that project Kalen Ellis produced for Lupe too, but that's that project that nigga was rapping about them dinosaurs and shit. I tapped out. But whatever. I'm gonna let Curtis get back to it.
Tonight, we dive into the groundbreaking advancements in artificial intelligence.
I am not afraid of your A&I. Let them play, they can never fake another eye. I'm the revolution that they never televise. I don't care what you computing, cause it's ill-advised. You can try to type a prompt in that Time Roman's font, but my nuance cannot be duplicated in your box. I grew up in the 90s on movies like RoboCop. I kinda know the plot, that's why I'm unorthodox. Stay up on my toes, and all you wanna see me stumble. But this fly keep evolving, I feel like I'm Seth Brundle. Silicon Valley, I see vultures trying to stick their claws in my culture. You can use your mid-journey to sculpt us, but we laughing at your ass cause you soulless.
We now face unsettling concerns about artificial intelligence threatening our privacy.
I am not afraid of your A&I. I got Kalen Ellis, bitch, I'll never die. I am not afraid of your A&I, unless it's Allen Iverson on the baseline, run it back. I am not afraid of your A&I. I got Kalen Ellis, bitch, I'll never die. I am not afraid of your A&I, unless it's Allen Iverson on the baseline, run it back. I am not afraid of your A&I. I build paper planes and I make them fly. It may not be impressive to the naked eye, but what's a chat GPT to an awakened mind? You see, Udio was cool, but then you cross the line, cause we all know the catalog you train and burglarized.
It seems we now face the grim reality of the dystopian future experts warned us about.
For those that think that AI is the answer, I hope you saw that cringe video on Canva. I think the prompt was Hamilton with break dancers. Bitch, that whole damn event should have been canceled. You see, the nuance is the chemo to their cancer. It's the pieces of the culture they can't handle. It's the reason why these vultures got no quality.
It's alright.
The reason why they want your music in more quantities. They say the music business done, but that's not true. I'm still fighting for my art like it's bomb-proof. I'm still fighting for my heart, bitch, I'm John Q. I know a renaissance is coming, guess I'm on cue. You need to stop with the doomsday predictions. Cause what is artificial to a real ass nigga?
What is artificial to a real ass? Tell me.
AI has overtaken the government.
I am not afraid of your A&I. I got Kalen Ellis, bitch, I'll never die. I am not afraid of your A&I, unless it's Allen Iverson on the baseline, run it back.
You George Jetson head ass. Hey, you know what? Today was nothing but listening to your perspective. And you...
Oh, shit, I love it. 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 The song hard than a bitch. I ain't even know we were finna go into a whole listening session. I thought he was gonna cut that shit off at some point. Man, he went through the whole motherfucking song, beating like a bit. That nigga Lupe say, it's alright. Yeah, he ain't doing none of that lyrical, miracle, spiritual, jumping through your swimming pool. You know what I'm saying? I killed nigga. My shit is venereal. Coming through in the physical. Coming through with the spiritual. Coming through with, you know what I'm saying? He ain't do none of that. He had a point and he conveyed it very clearly. Nigga said, it's all right. Shout out to Curtis. Shout out to Lupe, man. Y'all nigga funny as fuck, man. I'm gonna let them get back to it and then we gonna wrap up.
The Lupe thing. I don't really know you like that personally, sir, but you did the thing that I just don't understand. But today, I had a conversation, and I'm glad that we had a conversation that listened to your point of view on things. I don't know if you trolling. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know you, sir. You part of the reason why I don't look forward to doing no interviews. But with that said, I do appreciate your presence. I do appreciate that you're not walking away from the criticism of what you're doing. But today, what I said today, I stand on. I don't care what shenanigans happen afterwards. What was said today for a reason. Continue to do what you think is best for what you are doing for your audience because they appreciate you. And it seems like they're showing up for you all the way along the way. I said it already. I said Samurai is one of the best albums in 2024. I don't think that an AI can outdo what you're getting ready to do. I think that Lupe in the next moving forward, you become a hybrid. And we can have a conversation about this. I think that you become a hybrid of something new that didn't exist before. Something that 2023 Lupe couldn't do because now you have AI as your assistant. So I don't look at this as replacing. I get that we're pushing the platforms. I have questions still. But hey, man, it's good to see you in this space. It's good to see you articulating your points, whether it's popular or not. I think that you've always stood on that. Salute. But I knew what the hell I was talking about. And that day, you was going around and you was doing 360s. You was going around in circles. And I wish it wasn't the first time we had a conversation, but it was.
And there you have it. Curtis King, Lupe Fiasco, unfortunately, with the interaction that they ended up having on stream as he was actually out here defending the nigga. God damn. And that's exactly why I say in 2025, if it ain't music and the music ain't always what I be looking for, no way, I don't really give a fuck what Lupe got going on like that. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a polarizing figure. He's an intelligent dude, but I'm just not at that place where I'm following him that closely to get in tune with his perspectives, to get in tune with how he views the world, to get in tune with, I'm not there with him. It's been a long time since I was there with him. And while I was there with him, I learned it's in my best interest not to be, because he's his own person. He's his own man. And I've got my own race to run out in this world. You know what I'm saying? And I salute Curtis King for standing on his square as he was approached by Lupe. He didn't show out, but he also did not back down. And when we start talking about music and stuff, you know, a lot of people, they like to come on here and talk to folks that, you know, do YouTube, but may also have a knack or the ability to create music and stuff like that. The first thing they want to do is discredit your music when they disagree with you or don't like what you said. Oh, I disagree with you. You're a whack artist. It's a lot of people that try to do that shit with me ain't never gonna fly. You understand what I'm saying? Not to mention some of the institutions that your favorite artists support or are supported by fuck with me too. So, you know what I'm saying? And I salute Curtis for standing on his square the same way, because it's the same with him. So it's like, bruh, you want to come on here and say, oh, well, you ain't never did what this one did. Yeah. And I done did some shit that your ass ain't never going to do in this field neither. So run along, young Padawan. You feel me? But that's where we stand with all of this, man. At the end of the day, if you support AI, if you don't support AI, it is your prerogative. All I say is, if you're going to engage with it, if you're going to pour into it in terms of machine learning, training it, and all of that stuff, just make sure you're aware of all of the ins and outs of what you're getting yourself into. Make sure that it's something you're not going to regret long term. And make sure that whatever you're getting from it monetarily is something that you're going to be satisfied with when it's all said and done as well, so that you're not looking back regretting the decision that you made. Now, as for me, I have no interest in ever playing an AI song from anybody. So if he wants to go make them, I don't have to support him. All right. Let me know what y'all think of all this down below in the comments. Be sure to like and share this video. If this is your first time seeing me on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, become an insider, and I will catch y'all on the next one. We're going to be talking about the whole Fox Sports scandal in my next video, so get ready for that because it's a lot to unpack there. I just got access to the entire lawsuit. It's a lot to unpack with Joy Taylor, Skip Bayless, Emmanuel Acho, the head of the company. It's a lot. We're going to get into it, but y'all stay tuned. All right? Much love and respect, y'all. Peace. King of my city and cul-de-sac. Coming out swinging like soldier rag. Leading my people like quarterback. Boy, I study this shit, I'm an almanac. Had to get up and grind. Knowledge is booming, I'm here to apply. Came with the chip and the dip, it just single the mind. We finna do more than survive. I need my check. Spinning the block for the Gouda. We hitting the jeweler to flood out the net. We don't do beef for computers, I'm straight out the sewer. We come when you rest. Niggas be looking perplexed, so keeping my foot on their neck. No map, I trust my gut for the quest. With drama, I'm fully abreast. I was ready for years and they doubted me. All of a sudden they tell me they proud of me. I been dropping these haters like calories. Cross them out, I came back with some battery. Stand for my honor, but too raw, no corner. Packing the stick with a drummer. Wanna catch my bad, won't fumble. I done came too far to be humble.